I've come on here to do an eyeliner masterclass, and I really want to do a hooded eyeliner masterclass, but the reality is eyeliner for hooded eyes is really, really difficult. It's really, really hard. You can do it if you're quite young, because your hooded eye hasn't dropped that little bit more. As your hooded eye really drops, the hood almost comes down too low. When your eye is just hooded but it's quite flat and this skin hasn't fallen down, you can still get a hooded, you can still get a winged liner, because it can come a little bit lower and out, and it can still look very lovely and look like you've got the wing, but it just sits a little bit lower. Once you have matured past this point and your hooded eye falls on top, it's really hard to do that, and you really need to do it with eye pencil. So I'm going to do all of those and teach you each way to do it. I'm going to show you how to do a liner on my eye, a liner on a younger hooded eye, because I can still do that because my eye is quite an open eye, mine's non-hooded. So even though I have a partial hood here, it's not really dropped enough. So I can show you how to do that, but what I'm also going to do is show you how to wear liner if your eyes are hooded and you want to frame your eyes and you're slightly more mature and you don't have, there is no option of having the winged line, because there is a case when that isn't an option. And I was spent ages trying to find a way of showing you, and then I was like, it's just quite impossible. If your skin sits lower, you cannot wing out. You can wing out to the side, but as that skin starts to come down, you end up winging down here and it just doesn't look as nice. You can add more underneath, which is a way of getting around that, but we can also do that with pencils. So I'm going to show you. Sorry, that's a really, really long explanation, but there's no point me fooling you. Do you know what I mean? I don't want people to spend ages trying to do a winged eye or whatnot, and it's literally impossible for your eye shape. So let's have a play. I'll show you different techniques of how to hold a brush or how to hold the pen to get the correct shape and the correct application, and then I'll show you different shapes and different ways to do it. Hopefully it will help you. Next, we need to choose what sort of eyeliner you want to use. So that could be a gel liner. This is quite a firm liner, so it can drag a little bit. So if you're someone who has slightly crepier eyes, or slightly more mature, then as you apply this, sometimes you can get those little lines in between, but that's easily fixed. You can run a bit of eyeshadow over the top and that's fixed. This has a little bit more stability. It's not going to lay down quite so much product, so you can use, let's say you're someone who wants to use an angle brush, you can use an angle brush and push this into place, and it's quite nice and you have plenty of time to use it. It's not going to dry and set really quickly. You could be someone who wants to use an eyeshadow, so great for someone with a hooded eye that just wants a little smudging of liner. We used to be able to get these, and you probably still can, where you'd add them with a bit of mixing medium and you could make them into a paste and paint them on, and they were the best. When I learned how to do makeup at college, these are what we used, and back it used to be called spit block, and you'd spit in it and you'd use your own spit to make it. As time evolved, I used to have a Krylin one, which I would add a little bit of mixing medium to, and then you could create the most beautiful lines that would stay put. I kind of miss them. I might try and order one actually. So you've got those. You need to choose the sort of brush you want to use. I need a new one because look how splayed that is. When product's on it, it can normally come together again. You can have a short, fine brush. You can go for an angle brush. You can go for a slightly thicker, denser brush that still has the point. It really depends on what sort of brush you want. The longer, the thinner, the more you can kind of get a fine line and sweep across. So it's finding the correct brush for you as well. It's all of these things that make a difference. And if you're someone that wants to use a pen, then these lay down a lot more product. You have to work with them a little bit quicker because they can dry. This one has a brush end to it, or you can get a pen that has a more spongy end to it, depending on which you prefer. These will lay down a little bit more product straight away. I'm sitting at a desk, so I'm resting my hands on a desk, but it's totally up to you. You can just sit like that. You don't need to be at a desk, but I happen to be at a desk. So I'm going to position my mirror in front of me so I'm looking down. I have a freehold mirror here, but I've also got a handhold one, as I'm probably sure that's what most people will do. You're just going to position your mirror so you're looking down and your eyes are nice and tight. You want to make sure that you're not doing this because you can't get in, that you're looking down and your mirror is in a good position for you. And you're just going to, with this hand, so this is I'm actually left-handed, so this is my more comfortable hand. I'm just going to pop my finger against my cheek. So finger rested on my cheek, my baby finger, to stabilise me. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to almost look away. So I'm just looking away from the liner, going in at that angle so that the side, I'm not going in at a point, I'm definitely not pointing at my eye, I'm going in at a side angle. So the side of the brush lays on the eye, and I'm just going to really gently look down, look to the side, and just pop it on. You can see my eyes pointing that way, my head is looking that way, so I'm making sure that skin's tight there. And I'm resting my hand, my finger here. And I'm using my lashes to guide me, so we get a really fine line. Anyone can wear a really fine line. This is why these ones aren't as good unless you're very good at it, because you always have to keep working it on your hand again because it dries out. It means it's going to stay put well on the eye, but it also means that you don't have much playtime. So we're going to go in again. And this time I'm going from the middle a little bit. And pulling until I get to the end of my eye, and then I can decide which way I want to go. I've just swapped out for the Sephora 12 hour because it's going to stay wet for longer, it's not going to dry out. This eye I'm actually going to do a younger hooded eye, so rather than go up, I'm just going to follow along. I'm just following along. I'm not winging up. I'm following out. And you know what? That's not super tidy. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to get my Q-tip and I'm just going to run. Get along. I'm going to take away the end. And I can adjust it to wherever I want the liner to be. So there we have our liner. This is perfect for a young hooded eye. See, the eye is quite flat, and you don't really see much. Actually, it's a lot less space here, but you can still see that there is a wing there, and it's nice and precise. And even if this was to hang a little bit lower, it's still got a nice wing there. On the other side, I'm going to do it for my eye shape, which can go quite high up, a bit more like an Adele liner. Let me show you. So I'm shifting my body around because I'm sitting at a table. You can rest your elbow on your knee if that's easier. I'm holding the mirror here, but more because the camera's there. This is the hand I write with, so I'm going to cross that over, and I'm almost using my arm as a wedge. Do you know what I mean? They're crossing over and they're leaning on each other. And then I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm holding my baby finger in this sort of position on my cheek. You will find whatever's comfy for you, but as long as you've got something to stabilise you and keep your arm still and your hand still, it's easier. So I'm just going to, again, let me see if I can, I'm going to turn this way so you can see a bit more. I'm resting this part of my hand. I'm going to go in at the same angle. So go in at the side. I'm hoping I'm not blocking camera for you. We're just going to place down our product. I'm having to come at this angle because I still want to use the side of my pen. So I'm still using the side of my pen. I don't expect this video to get any views because it's going to be so long, but it's really important to explain positioning and how to hold things. I've been trying to teach my daughter this, and if I don't teach her the positioning, then she just can't do it. So these are the little lessons that we've been having. So the positioning is really important, making sure that eye is looking that way so it's nice and tight and we don't get the creases in the inner corner. And we're just going to get in that corner so we can get that first initial part of the line. Then we can change and we can move straight on, and we don't need to cross our arms so much because we can come in at this angle. Because for me now, I can look straight in the mirror because I have enough hood space. So I can then decide exactly where I want my lift to go. And this is really personal preference of how you feel like doing it. A lot of people like to just put a dot. I kind of know where mine goes, but I think I will put a dot just because I think that would be easier for you guys. So I'm going to lift. Now I like to lift about halfway so I can get a nice lift. You can do the long Adele one, which is slightly more sweeped and round, which is perfect for a slightly hooded eye. I might show that as well. Maybe that'll be another video because there's lots of different ways you can do it and lots of different angles you can take. I'm going to go, let's think, I want my liner to end about here. So I'll just decide. That's quite a big liner actually. So I'm just going to go, it's probably a bit too high, isn't it? And then I can just fill everything in until I can go to that point that might be a little bit too high. Now, what I can see is I like the shape, but I've got kind of a straight bit here, so I'm going to bring that rounded a little bit more because I have enough lid space. I'm just going to come in and I'm going to look down, resting again, I'm going to just round this area off. And by doing that, I can go higher with my flick. Don't ask me why, I just can. It just makes it look a little bit bolder and it makes it just that little bit nicer. I'm not going to go right up to that dot, although I quite like the dot being there. I'm going to remove it and I'm just going to tidy up that underneath. But again, I've got a little bit of a wedge there, so it's just a little bit of patching up until I get it exactly where I want it. And with my Q-tip again, I'll just take that bit away. So there you have your two eyes. One for someone who has quite a wide eye and they have enough space to do that big wing and it still show. And then one for someone who has a slightly younger hooded eye and they just want the liner to be there, but on the visible lid. I'm going to adapt this one to make it more for a hooded eye that doesn't have the hood at the side is too low that they can't wear it. Let's see if we can adapt it. I'm going to take an eye pencil. This one's Hypnotized by Kozas, and I'm just going to run that along the eye. It's going to be really hard to see it on my eyes because they're not hooded, but imagine this is all one. I'm just taking it all the way along, and I'm going to take it underneath a little bit and wing it out. And then I'm going to take a soft brush and just smudge it out. And under, we go out a little bit wider. And this can go all the way over the eye, or you could use a different colour on the lid, but just to create a smudgy, sultry kind of eyeshadow that is winged, and your hooded eye would come down here, and this is just going to wing out the side, and by taking it underneath, you're allowing that wing to show, and we can smudge it through so it looks really, it doesn't have to be black, it can be a brown, it can be any colour, a purpley, whatever colour you choose. I would say if your eyes are quite small, maybe don't put it within the eye because it will make the eyes look slightly smaller, but having it light in the eye will actually open the eyes up. Wouldn't have to be as firm on that corner, but that's where the other liner was. But we're thinking Emma Stone, Jennifer Lawrence, Helen Mirren, people who want to still have a lovely, sexy, smoky eye, but can't necessarily do the wing, but they can do that with eyeshadow, and it still looks beautiful. And then I'd put lots of fake lashes on there to make that really emphasise and show that you have really beautiful eyes there. I actually think that the hooded eye is the more sexy eye, but, you know, the name just doesn't sound as nice, does it? I hope you found that interesting. Sorry it's a long video, but it's really important to understand and explain the techniques of how to do these things on yourself, because you know, you can sit there for hours and still not get it and get so annoyed, and 9 times out of 10 it probably won't go perfectly, but the more you do it, the easier it will become. And if you have a daughter or son or daughter that wants to learn how to do liner, hopefully this will help them, because this is what I've been trying to do with Edie at the moment, because she really wants to nail liner and is finding it really difficult. So we sit here and we practice, and I show her different ways to hold her hands that might help her to apply her liner in the best possible way. I hope that's helped. Thanks so much. Bye.